All right. Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. What a wild week it has been, huh? Some pretty crazy volatility, some pretty insane price action here so far. And definitely, right, been an environment that's been honestly just rewarding patient trading, right? The volatility can really create kind of some of those like compulsive trading habits. And we know that when we behave with sort of that foundation of compulsion, we end up making decisions or taking trades that we end up regretting. And the more that we can effectively fight some of those anxieties or some of those stressors, right? However you want to describe it, generally the better our trading goes and the more successful we end up being. This week has been a really, really good example of that, right? We focused on keeping our losers small. We've closed our winning trades here as our P&L is increasing. And we found ourselves in the situation where going into a Friday, right, we're really nicely green. Every day that we've placed a trade, we finished up positive and really trying to put myself in a situation here, right, where I'm not now giving away the progress of what has been a successful week, right? So what does that mean? Effectively, I don't want to make any decisions here this morning, right, or during today's trading session that I'm going to end up regretting or feeling like I shouldn't have done, or that I'm going to just like sit and think about all weekend long. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. That sounds terrible, right? And really, my objective here instead, kind of the theme of my email there yesterday, but it's just about being proactive, not reactive, right? Making a good trading plan, being disciplined, being structured, working backwards to find my entry price, right? Planning out my second trade before I place my first trade. Understanding that when I answer those questions, I actually make it a lot easier for me to win. I actually speed up my trading progress, and I put myself in a situation where I can compound here to the upside instead of negatively compound here to the downside. And so I don't want to do anything here that needlessly, right, interrupts my ability to continue compounding. And I want to make sure, right, that regardless of how today's trading goes, I maintain control, I stay disciplined, right? I focus on the variables I can control, and I ignore effectively everything else, right? I can't allow the market to pull my energy or to take my focus away from being effectively the one who decides my outcome, right? So if I start to like get overwhelmed with the headlines, right? Or I start to get stressed out. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe that is happening. All those things are going to have a negative impact on my ability to view things rationally and objectively. And I can't allow that to happen if I want to maintain my ability to follow my rules and to execute my strategy with effectively no biases, right? So today, really all about focusing on executing my trading plan, following my trading rules, right? Working backwards to finding my appropriate entry prices, using the risk reward requirements that I know and love, and hopefully, right, putting myself in a situation where I'm able to take advantage of the volatility in the same way that I've been able to take advantage of it here all week long. Now, yesterday, no actual trades, fine, not the end of the world. Didn't get an opportunity that ended up being a plus. So again, right, no feeling here today, no like stress, no extra pressure on myself to now make a decision here this morning or to make a unprofitable decision here this morning. I'm here to trade my system, trade my plan, follow my rules, and execute my ideas in the most sort of objective and rational way I can. And like I said, right, it's already been a really good trading week. We're up 5K per account here, give or take a couple bucks under. But like I don't have to place another trade, right? If I don't get another trade here for the next 10 days, it's still a really good process. So I'm not feeling any pressure here this morning. I'm not feeling any extra stress, not feeling any rush to lose any money, and really just finding a lot of comfort and I think calm, comfort and calm. Probably kind of saying the same thing there, but I'm finding a lot of comfort, right, in being more chill, right, being stoic. Mike, we've been talking about him for a while, and just understanding that the more that I follow my rules to the T, the more that I kind of trust my system and just execute that, the better things go, and the more I deviate away from those variables, generally the worse things go. And that for me, right, if I'm at a fork in the road, the choice that I want to kind of deploy there is obvious, right? I want to keep following my rules. I want to keep trading my technique. I want to keep trusting my system, and I want to keep improving basically how I interpret price action and just focusing on getting just a little bit better each and every day. So yeah, that's going to be really the emphasis here this week. Finish off strong, finish off with a bang, hopefully with a winning trade, and then can go from there. All right. So again, right, expecting a pretty crazy bout of volatility here today. Who knows what the market is going to do? We've got PPI. Okay, we had PPI. Fine. We got some Fed speak. We got consumer sentiment. We got some more Fed speak. A relatively busy economic calendar. And then, yeah, we got some red folder events here at 10. So maybe that's going to slow us down here just a little bit. I think realistically, we're probably not going to have to be super worried about like limit down or prop limit prices here today. Again, that should create just a little bit more flexibility for us and allow us, right, to take advantage of whatever directional path we do get here this morning. Worth mentioning, right? So this is a rule I didn't realize, and I learned this yesterday, so it's worth sharing this as well. But if we look at NQ did hit that limit down price, but it didn't actually trigger a circuit breaker, and we didn't get that 15-minute halt. So there was a lot of like controversy over why that didn't happen, or why the halt didn't occur. People were saying rigged markets, all this sort of stuff. And effectively what it was is that price action upon touching limit down instantly within microseconds, so maybe not instantly, but within microseconds, was back up above that price. So it didn't hold under for long enough to trigger the circuit breaker, and the long enough is literally like 2 or 3 seconds. So when that occurs, then the exchange implements a timer, and it has to close under the limit down price after 2 minutes. And then if it does, then the circuit breaker triggers and it goes on sort of break for that 15 minutes. So I wasn't aware that that was a rule. That's something for us to kind of consider and think about here a little bit going forward. And hopefully I remember that to be the case the next time we have this type of opportunity. Who knows if I'll remember that in 6 months, but hopefully I do. And we can kind of go from there. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Explains why we didn't trigger that limit down event. And yeah, there were a couple good threads on that there on social media yesterday, especially from Anthony Crudelli, kind of like an old school pit trader who broke that down pretty well. All right. So let's start mapping things out here this morning, team. Let's figure out what we want to do here this AM. And let's set ourselves up here for a successful trading day. So what's the count here on ES? Let's start there and figure it out. Yeah, spot on, AJ, right? 2 out of 3 here to the downside without volume, correct? So we're kind of just like flipping conditions, right? One day to the other. So, okay, fine. Yeah, we'll sanity check here some of these prices. So prop limit's going to be 50.37 here today. All right, and then limit down is going to be approximately here. Actually, eyeballed that pretty well. So, yeah, prop limit, right? That's going to be where we get stuck here. And we'll see if that kind of ends up being the reality. To the upside, we'll be targeting 5380. Gosh, man, every day I got to change these numbers so dramatically. I miss the days where it was just, oh, I got to change two. So 5380, we'll call that 5390, right? And then 5400. And then their next sort of point of contact there, right, would be 5500. I don't know if it's worth mapping it out all the way there. We'll go maybe like 5450. All right, and then to the downside, pre-market low, 5200. Actually, I'll call that 5210, just round it up. Then we'll go 5200, 5190, 5180. Cool. So plenty of space here, right, in either direction. We shouldn't be restricted in how we're able to trade this morning. So hopefully, right, that does give us the flexibility to be able to take advantage of whatever price action is available to us. All right, NQ, similar, not so similar. How do we feel? So did we make a higher high yesterday or a lower low, or are we confined inside Wednesday's range? Yeah, it's an inside bar, right? So a little bit of a different setup here relative to ES, but it's like they're first cousins. Like it's not that different. To the upside here, targeting like 18.8 and then up to 19.5. Okay, and then to the downside, pre-market lows of 18.1. Beautiful. Okay, and then we just got a sanity check here, these limits. So 17.5 will be our prop limit down. So lots of space lower here if we do get that price action. Cool. Any questions about the indexes? Make sense? All right, awesome. So CL, how we looking? How do we feel? Similar to the indexes? Not so similar. Is it more similar to ES or NQ? Yeah, looks more like ES. 2 out of 3 without volume. And then, I mean, it doesn't really change our setup here too much. Still targeting 61. Nice enough to change things too aggressively. And then limit down. So to the downside, we're looking at like 57.15. And then 2% under that. So we might struggle to get through Wednesday's lows here this morning. mean, that's a big ask anyway, but call that 56. Cool. And then low here targeting 59. We'll go 59, 58, 50, 58, down towards 57. So I'll go like 57, 50, and then we'll go 57, 15. So and then that 57, 15, right, is our prop firm limit. We can't look for trades within that range. Okay, Apple, inside breezy. Cool. Tesla, inside bar. Microsoft, inside bar. Amazon, inside bar. AMD, right, inside bar. We're blasting through these leading names, right? They're all telling us the same story as NQ. So if I'm looking at this, right, already, I know today I need to see effectively a consolidation breakout here across the board. If I don't start to see those consistent narratives basically all move together, then it's going to be really hard for me to trust I'm going to get anything other than a chop day here. So literally every leading name and its mother, right, is giving us an inside bar here setup. It's like we have a consistent story, right? Everything is already telling us that same thing. Now, that same thing isn't necessarily what we want to hear, right? I don't want to see another inside bar. I don't want to trade another inside bar. But if they're all behaving the same way here right now, let's kind of see if they all leap together too, right? And if we do, that's going to be our indication where we can afford to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe be a little bit quicker in when we're looking for our entry timing. Maybe we're going to have opportunities to get then those bigger moves. Otherwise, we're going to have to wait for the market to, kind of all sync up, right, and do the same thing before it can give us something consistent. So we have that consistency. We want to see that sustain, but we also want to see it become a narrative that is more trending versus sitting on hands. Okay, inside bar. Google, inside bar, right? I could have said that before looking. So very consistent narrative across the board here today. And yeah, we're looking pretty nice. Any questions here, team? Everything kind of makes sense. How we feeling this AM? How's everyone's Friday? Love it, AJ. Good, Patrick. Well, make sure, right? So I love the idea of having kind of like a benchmark to work towards, but don't get so pot committed to that idea, right? Where you can't walk away here today. The reason why you're pushing closer and closer towards your objectives is because you are being patient and you're following your rules. And that's why it's compounding, right? So that's what I want you to continue focusing on. If you do that, you're going to be in great shape to hit that. And if you maybe don't hit it today, you'll hit it tomorrow or on Tuesday or whatever, right? And that'll be a lot more sustainable. AJ, similar advice goes to you, right? So if you're starting your evaluation, I can understand how exciting that is and how much you want to kind of rush through that process. You can start trading with your money and start being kind of getting paid out for your decisions. But remember, it's better to start small and build up your tolerance to that extra pressure than it is to force a decision or rush a trade or take something compromised just to start to feel like you're making progress. So really, really focus on, being deliberate, being kind of disciplined, right?
following the rules that you've kind of been creating for yourself. And that's going to help you elevate your trading and really take it to the next level. And same thing goes for you, Vinny, right? You're able to find progress there in your evaluation account when you follow your rules and you stick to your technique. When you deviate away from that, you maybe get a little bit of progress in one day, but then the next or the next trade, right? You end up giving back everything and feeling frustrated. So be structured, right? Follow your rules. Trust that the techniques that you've been using to get here are going to help you maintain that progress. And yeah, it might feel like it's taking a long time, but I promise you, following your rules and forcing yourself to slow down is a lot faster than chasing those impulsive trades and being forced to restart. So really, really focus on that, control those variables, and you're going to be in great shape. Any other questions here this morning, team? And remember, guys, right? If you're looking at a trade and you're feeling something, or like you're stuck in a loop and you want some feedback, right? This is what I am here for, right? So if you have something, ask a question. I will get that question answered for you. I'll try to help you break out of that little loop. But remember, right? You're here, part of a team, part of a community. You don't have to do it alone. So I would say generally with those AI trading systems, they're honestly trying to be generous here with how I describe them, but they're like 99.9% bullshit. And the reason I say that is just because API access to be able to actually create something along those lines is exceptionally expensive. So it would cost for someone to be able to actually implement that, it would be costing you a couple $1,000,000 just to get API data access, and then a few other kind of dollars on top of that to be able to actually program those systems appropriately. So to execute those concepts in the way that they're actually suggesting, it's fugazi. What those companies are actually doing is they're opening up their own like CFD brokerage, i.e., they're able to control the flow or the trades or the executions in their own controlled environment, and they're doing that with unlicensed products. So effectively, the strategies that they're deploying are kind of like fancy martingale strategies, where if they have a losing trade, they just double up the position sizing, or right, they pay out your profits from someone else's deposit. So in my opinion, they're a little bit of like a fancy Ponzi scheme. And I've yet to hear of anyone making any consistent money from any of these AI algorithms or trading products. When it comes to having an algorithm, if you had one that was actually successful and was working, you would make so much more money giving that algorithm to a fund, them deploying $100 million or more of trading capital to it, and you getting a percentage of the profits that generates. So just from like a math perspective, I don't think that those AI trading systems or algos are real. So AJ, as for the older videos of using the 2-min time frame, the only setup I've ever traded the 2-min time frame on is this mean reversion look. None of those opportunities are particularly old, only from the last, say, month or so. I think I've taken probably 2 total trades on the 2-min time frame. So I wouldn't overthink that. I think you're looking for something that isn't really there. 99% of my trades will be on the 3-min time frame or later. And in general, with these mean reversion techniques, I'm simply looking at 10-minute or longer. All right. Any other questions here, team? All right, sweet. So got a few minutes here to market open. I'm gonna go make myself a quick cup of coffee. Spend a minute maybe doing something to my voice. It's struggling here a little bit this AM. And then yeah, we'll jump back on here as markets are opening up and get ready for a successful trading day. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes and we'll chat then. All right, and we're off. So let's see how the day kind of comes together here, team. Have ourselves a good session. And yeah, let's see how it comes together. Everyone feeling sharp here today? Everyone feeling good? Awesome. Love that. Hopefully cold-blooded, Antonin, not just not freezing. Be the Iceman. I had a little bit of a realization there last night, right? Like it's gonna be. I don't know how you West Coast traders do it. I am so nervous
that it's gonna take me a while to get used to it. Like just waking up, that's gonna be oof, not easy. So like I wake up pretty early here too, but I wake up early because I feel like it takes me a long time to like feel sharp or like fresh in the mornings. So I'm up 6 o'clock Eastern, give or take. So waking up 30 minutes earlier is gonna be fine. But waking up 30 minutes earlier might not give me like that clear my head time in the morning. We'll have to figure that out. Oh yeah, I mean that Jeff is going to be fantastic. John, where are you? West Coast? Where about? Oh, awesome. I grew up in White Rock. Honestly, Antonin, no, not anything too crazy. You guys will make fun of me for this, but right now, I'll throw on like a podcast in the morning, do a little bit of exercise, and then like today I played some NHL 25 at like 7:30 in the morning. So again, probably not expecting a mean reversion setup. Nice, Ali. Oh, that's cool. Oh, Chilvack's great. Cousin lives there. Yeah, that I don't like. Oh, I did get a CL mean reversion. I don't think most people are from Canada, Ali. I would say it's probably like 60-40. Yeah, we had a bunch of like tracking metrics that they had going on, Norm. Some good, some bad, some scary, some like a little bit too dystopian. I had to get like my retina scanned every day before I started my trading day. I had to do the fingerprints thing. Onside like in our trading desk, there were a ton of cameras, and we had people just watching basically every move we did intraday. It was fucking wild. Sorry to curse. Yeah, yeah. Some horrific things came out from those cameras. I will tell you that much. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Ali. So, what I'm doing here, right, is basically identifying how strong the daily trend is and then making a plan based on those conditions. So, this is what that is, right? I'm being told that I have 2 out of 3 things to the downside. So, 2 out of 3 elements are telling me that bears are in control, and the missing element here is the volume. Based on that, I know that I have kind of non-trending PA, and I can base my levels off of those kind of bits of price action. If you want to learn a little bit more about that in specifics here over the weekend, I would recommend going through the Start Here channel inside the Discord, as you're going to be able to get all of those ideas
and kind of a breakdown of how I trade and what I do. So specifically, based on your questions, I would focus on video number 2 and video number 3 in that was 11-part series, 10-part series. And that'll really get you caught up to speed here so that you're crushing these trades with confidence. So yeah, all I do here on a pre-market prep perspective is find my daily levels, find my pre-market plan, and look for a good kind of continuation of those stories. So AJ, yeah, we definitely have a setup trigger here active. I'd say confirmation needs to occur on a hold above 60. And preferably with a strong candle shape. If we get that, then we have a good look. I also have, right, like a mean reversion setup potentially coming together here. So let's keep an eye out. Okay, so looking like a good close here, right? And our target would then be that red line, 60.33, 23 cents. Okay, so immediately makes a higher high, right? So I know that my stop loss needs to be then the low of my entry candle. We might not have the opportunity from a risk reward perspective here to be able to take this trade. So let's see if it can find support here. I do imagine it's going to try to retest maybe 60.10. Pretty interesting from the indexes. So if I get a look on the 5-min, right, I'm also going to have the same setup with maybe a little bit of a better or more potential follow through here to the upside. The 3-min looks good, but never gave me a chance to enter. Not a reasonable one, at least. We also have a 5-min NQ setup and a 5-min, another CL 5-min bullish reversal. So it would have to be the pullback technique here. So 60.15 plus, we'll call it 90 cents, right? It's going to be 61.04. Oh, whoops, wrong way. Profit target to stop loss. So need an entry under or around 60 bucks. Or, right, we could look for the aggressive technique if it breaks out over 60.25. Okay. So for now, right, stop loss 59.80. Means I can maybe buy like 2 contracts here as this thing pulls back into my entry zone. So for me, right, I'm going to be watching for price action around this $60. This is where I would want to see support hold. Okay, first attempt under, good little bounce.
Okay, watching closely here. All right, guys. So I am in 2 contracts, 60.01. I actually didn't get a perfect fill. Oh no, $60 on the dot. Never mind. So 2 contracts long at $60. Good entry here. Very good entry. Man, why is TradingView giving me issues today? What the? There we go. So great start here, team. Great start. 2 contracts, almost up $500. Hopefully a few of you guys are in this position here as well. Great entry, Samuel. Target price, right, is 89 cents away. It's this white line, 6104 or 6103. Right, so it's this white line here on my fibs. It's just a little bit far away. Not yet. Right? For me to pyramid into a position, I need 3 out of 3 things to occur, right? I need it to break out and hold above its previous high. I need it to hold a strong candle shape, and I need increasing outlier volume. So it didn't give me any of those. So no, I can't look to pyramid. All right, let's see if this thing can run. Not yet, Sammy, not yet. But I am thinking a little bit about a close. I want to see it test highs. So if we can like pump out through this 30 handle, I think we could be in good shape. And then that would be my opportunity to look to get out of this position and then look for a re-entry. So there's 30. See if it can fly. Good little start here. There's 36. Beautiful. All right, guys. So I have closed that trade right there. All out. What was that fill price? 33 out at 60.33. Great trades, team. Great trade. Let's go. Gotta say, that mean reversion feels so much calmer, right? With that stop loss logic we've implemented. Yeah, let's go, Vinny. 15 minutes and done for the day. That's the dream, man. Congratulations.
Let's go, Bergs. So, Samuel, my general feeling here, right, is if you feel as if it's time to protect a trade, then, excuse me, if you feel as if it's time to protect your trade, you're kind of subconsciously telling yourself that you want to get out of that position. So it's best to get out of your position, right, as your P&L is increasing instead of getting stopped out on a pullback. Let's go, Derek. Hell of a start to the day. Almost $1,600. Congratulations. And boom, yeah, good plan. So, Sammy, just to answer your question maybe a little bit better, right? When it gives me that 1 for 3, I basically want to look to get out as it's popping through those highs, right? Because if they're going to fail on that breakout higher. Does that kind of make sense? So for me, yeah, always close as P&L is increasing. Increasing on that point, right, means breakout above high a day. I think I did say that. Maybe I'm not. My voice is raspy, so I don't recognize myself. But it's basically, get out on that first pop over. That's going to be our best exit. See the reaction at 30, right? I think is what I said. Yeah, great start to the day, team. And yeah, I mean, we didn't quite top ticket, but within 5 cents for now. So I can't complain about that. That's fine. And Rusty, you made a comment there that I want to touch on as well. So yeah, I in general, right, on these trades, when we're correct or when they're correct, they're pretty much green right away, and they give you some pretty awesome follow through when they do. Which is why I think, yeah, using the aggressive technique or the pullback technique makes some sense. If it fakes out, okay, yeah, shit happens, but the fake out happens maybe 1 out of 10 trades and then it runs. So if it's happening 10% of the time, I shouldn't be solving to fix that. I should be solving to basically maximize the 90% of other trades. And once it gives me that that probability, if I'm get faked out, right, and it gives me that scenario, I have an obvious entry trigger then at that point, and I can go from there. So yeah, great question, John. Why did I choose CL over trading the general indexes? At the time of my entry, the general indexes just weren't giving me a similar type opportunity. So on this NQ, right, it made a higher high and then pulled back all the way to that 18,420-ish before then making this move. So I would have failed from a position sizing perspective on this setup. And then ES was hovering like on this breakout candle at the time, right? Didn't break out above the opening range. So the only setup where I had a realistic expectation of getting an execution from a position sizing perspective was on CL. Plus my implied win rate on this move, 85%. So I'm pretty happy to just take that. That's a good bet for me to make when everything else is kind of giving me less mathematically sound bets. That makes sense? And yeah, I think we did a really good job. getting out of that trade where we did. We would have been losing money here. Maybe not losing money, but a tougher trade. So yeah, I really like this mean reversion technique. And I think we found the right balance with it as like a contributor, right, to our ORB breakout, right? Yeah, it's like 6, kind of bouncing between 5 and 6 cents less than what we closed at. So yeah, I think it was a really good close. Yeah, and I think Rajat, it works well with how we currently trade. Like it works well in conjunction with it. It's not like fundamentally opposite. Which I like a lot. And yeah, our win rate on it, I think, is probably like 75%, maybe 80%. And then at this point, right, if I'm going to get another look here, I'm going to be managing waiting right now for this 10 a.m. data to drop because that's a red folder event according to Forex Factory. Market's been drunk on headlines here. So we're gonna take advantage of that if it creates an extra bout of volatility for us. And yeah, I think this is gonna sound bad, but in hindsight, right, that trade last week that tested basically every ounce of my mental capital. It was a very stressful trade, but a very important lesson, right? And I think since basically taking what the market taught me from that position, this has become a much calmer and chill setup, and that is awesome to see. So, okay, look at CL now, right? We nailed it. Good job, team. We freaking nailed it. So yeah, now we got a couple minutes. We'll hang out, sit on hands, wait until this data drops, and hopefully we can get an opportunity. Probably, I shouldn't say probably. Maybe the trade I'd like to see the most here after kind of like a muted open would be that aggressive mean, or like maybe not mean reversion because we're not going to be extended on the Bollinger Bands, but a variant here basically playing this low vol fake out, right, bullish failure thesis. That might be my best opportunity to get then that next like chunky leg of follow through. Hey, let's go, Patrick. Congratulations. And stoked that you just played your rules. That's beautiful, man. Congratulations. Yeah, we nailed it, guys. We absolutely nailed it. It might feel, it feels really good, right, to get that mega win. But I also am finding a lot of satisfaction in closing my trade when it's a good win instead of like closing it in panic when it's a meh win. That I find that so rewarding. Like just not allowing greed to dictate our decisions and seeing that that actually works out well. It's so rewarding. It's so calming, right? It's so confidence inspiring that hey, I can do anything. And again, I'm going to keep looking at this, right? Because it's a good reminder that when I follow my rules, I make money. Oh, beautiful, right? Absolutely beautiful. All right, so algo opportunity time. Yeah, getting whipsawed on that would have sucked. Let's go, team. Let's go. Whoops. Yeah, right. If we didn't feel any pressure to trade at the start of the day, right, and force any P&L, we certainly shouldn't be feeling any extra pressure here now, right? I mean, it's a little bit early for margaritas, but hey, it's the Masters. One sec here, team. One sec. All right, sorry, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry about that. Honestly, John, I can't answer your question. I'm not like a macro expert or a specialist. I would say that that's a little bit outside of my like realm of expertise. Um, so yeah, hard for me to comment. I would imagine that a lot of the unemployment going up would be from all of the government layoffs, right, that have occurred here in the last few months. That would be my guess. Okay, so not a great reaction here post algo on this pullback. Pretty dramatic move lower, right, and then a pullback back into our implied entry zone. So I'm going to be patient on this. I'm not going to be chasing after this one. No worries, John. No worries. I'm going to be in that same spot here in 20 days. So it's all good. Like looking into the future. Again, guys, hell of a decision. Hell of a decision. Not a good enough candle shape there on the 5. Good volume, but not the right shape. Yeah, I don't know if it was pun intended, but I'll pretend it was for sure. I wish I was that clever. I would say just in general with my references, they're like usually obscure movie or TV show quotes where I can yeah, share my autism. I don't know how else to describe it. All right, so really just hanging out here, right? Not much really giving us a enthusiastic reaction here post our initial trade. Again, I'm not seeing much evidence where I need to be particularly aggressive. I'm happy to just sit on hands and chill for now. It's a nice day. Cap off a nice week. I'm happy to be patient here, team. And truth be told, happy to kind of save my voice. I don't know why. I keep kind of getting this like beaten up throat. I don't know what's going on in my personal life. Okay, good decision to avoid NQ. Not enough to call that a low vol pullback setup or entry. So I'm chilling, team. I'm not sure if I'm going to be particularly more aggressive. So you might have a market data issue, John. So you're probably not paying for live market data, which would suggest that you're 10 minutes behind whatever my current price is. So by the sounds of it, yeah, it sounds like you're not using live market data. Yeah, not a great looking candle, no interest. Thank you, not a great looking candle, no interest. I mean, would have paid a little bit. What I would look for, right, is still then some sort of element of confirmation that you're seeing increasing outlier volume, right, defending that 60 handle, right? So our setup trigger, right, is a breakout or mean reversion, right, on increasing outlier volume, right? So that's my setup and my confirmation. If I'm going to double dip, I need to see that same standard of confirmation. Yeah, so John, TradingView Premium doesn't mean that you have live market data. Live market data is a separate $7 a month add-on that you have to purchase. So if you look at your S&P 500 E-mini futures, there'll be like a little D kind of around this like percentage figure. And so if you click that, sign all the agreements, purchase your data, you're going to solve that issue. If you want a specific breakdown on how to do that, inside the Start Here channel, inside the Discord, is a video that will break you down on what you need to purchase and how to purchase it. That would be video number 4, how to use TradingView plus getting live market data. Yeah, for sure, right? You could do that. I wouldn't argue with that logic, but what I don't want to get into the habit of, right, is taking trades that don't follow the setup, confirmation, execution criteria, right? So one trade, I'm taking it on one move higher, one trade, the other move higher looks differently. I'm just going to confuse myself over what I'm supposed to do. And I'm going to hide the patterns over if my executions are successful or not. It being higher at end of day doesn't indicate that your entry timing based on it just bouncing off of a price is going to be correct. So why I want that volume confirmation is because I'm trying to get my entry timing to be also correct, not just my directional bias. So for me, right, that increasing outlier volume is an indication of momentum changing or moving in a certain direction. And I don't want to pick and choose what that looks like because I'm just going to confuse myself. And if I look back on CL here now, right, that quote unquote winning trade is no longer a winning trade. So I would rather be strict and disciplined with that approach instead of, like picking and choosing when to add extra exceptions. I'm just going to confuse myself. And if I confuse myself, I'm going to screw up my execution. And if I screw up my execution, I'm more likely to compound other mistakes, like not closing my trade, averaging down, ignoring a win when it's there. And I think that'll just create confusing habits. So for me, I want that increasing outlier standard so I can get my timing correct or have conviction in my timing. And so I always want to see a personality change post pullback. So I would just look to trade it, right? The same way that we trade these low vol pullbacks where, okay, you get a breakout, you get a low vol pullback here back into your signal price, right? And then you look for confirmation that that signal price is being defended. Because it going higher doesn't mean that it's going higher the next candle. So we need to have confidence that our entry timing is going to be correct. Otherwise, it's not a trade worth taking. Make sense? like as much as I want it to be, excuse me, trading isn't as simple as just getting the direction right. Not with leveraged products. So for now, right, it's kind of behaving the same way we've seen our recent mornings happen, right? Gives you a little breakout, kind of hangs out around the high or the low of the opening range, and then maybe makes a move. It's kind of what we've been seeing here for a while, or at least the general theme here of the week. So now, right, we're effectively looking for a consolidation breakout, either higher or lower. What I will say about this mean reversion technique, and um, I think why it's challenging to accept a loss here is because the back tested results are so promising, right? So that creates a little bit of bias where every move feels as if it's the right move. And so I do think that that creates some level of potential to get like tunnel vision on the setup, right? Because it's hard to accept it when you're staring at what is that, 85% implied win rate. So it's like, it's hard to tell yourself that, oh, this is the 15% time. And so I think it's important that we basically assume that each decision is like a 50-50 instead of like, yeah, attaching all of our hopes and expectations on it being correct every time. Is it the implied win rate of 85% feels like that it should never lose. And I think that can be a little bit dangerous. Yeah, Robert, and I think that's probably why we're seeing a pretty slow start here from the indexes, right? Maybe why they're not giving us a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. That general like consolidation that we wanted to see break out from, we haven't really done it. We're still very much inside Wednesday's range. So we've got a lot of like double inside bar setups, which again, I think is adding more evidence that being aggressive here this morning, especially after a nice win, probably isn't the right move. So yeah, spot on. Yeah, I think so too, Jared. Yeah, I would agree with that. Man, damn, I feel like that's been the theme of the market this week, right? We're getting like 30-second candles that move 150 points. Like it's trying to lure you in into chasing. And so you counter that, right, by slowing down and being more deliberate. And we did a really good job of that here this morning. And it's a market, like, look at this doji on ES. Like, this is disgusting on a daily. I don't need to do anything with this. I don't need to lose money pulling my hair out. I'm already losing my voice. I can't go bald, too. Like, then it'll be official, right? Then I'll have a face for radio for sure. No, unfortunately not, Jeff. Unfortunately not. I wish. That sounds like a lot more fun. Honestly, this is gonna sound a little bit Joe Rogan-y, but I feel like I'm just struggling to adjust to the well water. I don't think anyone's dresses quite like Ari Gold. And I'll tell you this much: my self-talk when I'm angry is far less racist. Oh, of course, yeah. Not quite breaking the terracotta warrior, but I used to have a little mini basketball hoop, and there was one trade where I absolutely like lost my cool and I threw my mini basketball at the hoop and shattered it. So that's probably the worst I've ever gotten. But nah, I try not to trade with very much anger. I think I'm not perfect at that, but I'm better at it than I was years ago. Like in general, I wouldn't say I'm a very angry person. I honestly have no idea, Oz. I am not a hotkey trader, so I've never looked into it. Okay, so again, right now we're looking green to red reversal. Want to see increasing outlier volume. Yeah, that's effectively what this idea here is, right? When bulls fail or bears fail in one direction and that direction is clear, then you have like a clear pathway, right, for the other side to take back control. And when we're in a bearish market, right, like we are at the moment, those moves can be very, very violent. So some of my favorite setups are those green to red reversals or red to green reversals because you get the biggest amount of follow through because all the bulls that were defending that thesis have now been wiped out. So we're getting a setup here on NQ, right? On that exact same thesis, getting a breakout away from the opening range on increasing outlier volume, green to red. So we're in good shape here. We have an opportunity. Would like to see this hold under 300, right? That's going to be the key. I don't want to see the psychological level fail to hold. If it does, I'll switch to the 5-min time frame. Okay, closed right at 300, so I'm going to pass it on to the 5-min. Good decision so far. So this is where Robert's comment, right, talking about our big names kind of being a mixed bag. This is also, right, a big influencing factor in why we don't want to trust these breakouts here too aggressively. If we started off the day by saying every ticker is giving us that same story, and if we're going to get that consistent follow through, all those stories are going to sync up. We're not quite getting that same narrative here, right? It's still that mixed bag, which I think explains potentially this failed breakdown here now on NQ. Right? Like this would have faked us out even on the pullback entry technique. So we can use the clues that the market is giving us, right, from our pre-market plan to avoid effectively our obvious mistakes. So again, I feel pretty vindicated in being skeptical of this price action here so far. And I feel like that skepticism has been justified. What do you guys think? Yeah, it's in a range. It's not moving. Not telling us that we need to be aggressive yet. Yeah, it feels much better to be in control. And on honestly, all this is, guys, right? The reason why we're able to be like chill and to not want to chase this price action is because we had a really good pre-market prep, right? We were thorough in how we analyzed markets. We knew that before the session started, it was likely to be a day of consolidation, right? Until our leading names all broke out in either direction. And if those narratives didn't want to remain consistent, then the indexes probably weren't going to give us an easy move. And so we talked about that, right, for 20 minutes to start the day off. And it's not because I like the sound of my own voice. It's because I'm just trying to make it easy for myself to basically give myself like a green light or a red light. And it's easier for me to be objective before markets open than it is after. Like I talk so much, right? Especially this week, I've been in my email series talking about how it's like so important to be proactive, not reactive. How managing your trading psychology is a proactive, not reactive element. And that's effectively what our prep is designed to do, right? It's designed to help us make good proactive decisions so that when, the bullets start firing, things start getting hectic, we start getting these 100-point candles in 30 seconds, that we're not getting like lost in the sauce, right? We're able to remain relatively rational and we're able to remain relatively objective and just like not fall for the rush of a position. And so any day where I can make $600 and avoid 2 losing trades, that's a good day. That's a really good process day. And so we've had 5 trading days here, 4 days where we've placed trades, 4 green days. So clearly that process is working. And I can't forget that. Right? In the moment, it's easy to neglect that and to like realize, right, that price action is more predictable when my behaviors are predictable. No, it won't, Robert. You're spot on. Okay, so we're getting a little bit closer, right, to there now being a bit of a consistent narrative. Well, maybe on this NQ, same thing. Don't want it to close under 300. We've seen 300 act as like a big area of support. So let's see if we can hold under. Nope. Didn't do it. Instant fake out. Wow. If that wasn't, we didn't see people just get trapped in real time there. Like, holy smokes, we got some Chilean miners in price action here today. The references are my way of getting out that crazy energy. So instead of being emotional and wild and wacky, I get to make obscure references. That's my love language. Yeah, it would have been a terrible feeling on that trade. So again, right? The filter is sharp. We're keeping out all the guck and goo. That sounds pretty gross, but yeah, team, I'm pretty happy to just be sitting on green. I don't need to do anything else. Yeah, I 100% stand by that statement. The feeling of like trying to reach that next P&L target just because I want more, and then finishing down or like scratch on the day, for me is the most tilting feeling in trading. Because it's, at least for me, it's the most obvious form of self-sabotage. Because it's like, oh man, fuck, I was up $1,000. Now I'm only up 200. Oh man, why? Why did I do this to myself? I fester in that feeling. So well done, Derek. Hey, $1,600 on the day. That's incredible. Go crush your meetings. Yep, and even that 10 min, what a fake out and reversal here. Nasty business. Hell of a move, John. Congratulations. A little bit outside of my personal risk parameters, but hey, it's working out well. Maybe I could do this. And basically just targeting high of day, right? Because that's where we've seen price action get stuck here so far this morning. Now, main issue with this setup is basically position sizing. I kind of want to see, right, this previous high act as my support for a continuation move here to the upside. But the difference between that high and my implied stop loss location, right, is larger than what I want my max loss number to be. So if I'm working through this, right, and I'm saying I want to see previous high hold to have conviction that the aggressive technique is going to work, buying a pullback under that high is effectively buying an example of that pullback or that area of support not holding, right? So looking to try to get a deeper pullback when I see that support fail is not a positive alpha decision. It's kind of like a subtle variant of effectively telling myself that, hey, my idea is wrong, but I'm pot committed to the idea, so let me take a trade. Because like had I just bought a pullback here at that 33, I would have been stopped out on that pullback to 405 before it goes. So I didn't get the evidence that that blue line was acting in support in conjunction with my ability to size this trade like a rational human being, which sucks, right? It would have been nice to have been in a winning trade up, 20 points or whatever. But if it doesn't give me exactly what I want, I have no base expectation of making money. And it's really easy to trick yourself into thinking that you wouldn't have lost money on those like little fake outs, right? Or those little bounces or those little whatevers. So it's like I'm being objective here in that analysis, right? It's got to be inside my risk reward zone, and my support zone has to be inside an area where it's logical to find the bounce. And so that initial support zone didn't hold. So I should have no reason to be aggressive here. And again, it has saved me money, right? I would have been stopped out before it made that move to 50. And then, hell, I might have been stopped out another time here, right? Again, I would say I've gone 1 for 1 here today in my actionable ideas and in my like high conviction setups. And I've gone 3 for 3 in avoiding my obvious mistakes or obvious losing trades. That's 4 nice wins. That's great, right? Like from a process perspective, I'm batting 1,000. So I'm seeing things clearly, right? I'm being patient. I'm being cautious. And I'm doing well. Sorry to hear that. What were the trades? What were the trades? Honestly, like I've been trading for almost 13 years. It'll be like 13 years in September. We're pushing up to lucky number 13. But I swear each month that I still am able to trade and survive playing this game and turn this into my living it just constantly feels like this is a game where if I just avoid my obvious mistakes, I make money. Everything, everything else is like secondary. What time frame was that on? Like the 3 men? So post this candle. So for me, right, this is not a good confirmation candle, right? It looks more like least bearish than most bearish. So I don't like that. I think that's that should have been a trade you didn't take, not the right candle shape. And then what you said at 1020 on the 2 men. So this one a little bit better. Did you go short here or did you try to go long? And you lost money on this? How? So your entry wasn't at 1020, it was at 1023? Not a strong enough candle there on that 3 min, not a strong enough volume profile. So CL it's back up above that 60 handle, but not tradable. So one, I would get off the 1 min time frame if you're going to be chasing those subpar confirmation candles, right? Two, don't take trades that look like this or this, right? Strong candle shapes, strong candle shapes, strong candle shapes. Both of those setups here that you took this morning would have been confirmation failures for me from a candle shape perspective. Oh, truth be told, I don't like either of those setups very much. I think they're more thinking I'm going to make money versus, hey, is this my right setup? So I would like to see you improve the quality of your confirmation candle. Let's go. 10K on the week. Hello. Awesome, awesome work. That makes sense? Oz? Sorry, AJ, my bad. Yeah, probably not going to get to that increase in volume. So it's like that $60 is kind of a magnet. Again, we pretty much still top ticked this. I have not left any money on the table on this trade. you're just rushing that process just a little bit, right? So for whatever reason, you're feeling like the anxiety to place a decision or to rush your trade or to do whatever. So I want you to just slow down, right? Think setup, confirmation, execution, and just like prod or poke that confirmation muscle, right? Really focus on it. So like if I'm thinking about my journal, right? What am I going to try to improve for tomorrow? The thing that I want to see you improve for tomorrow, right? It's not saying that you suck. It's not that you suck. You can clearly prove that you can do these ideas, but it's okay. Why do I feel the rush to enter a trade when I start to see a move happen in my direction? How can I create that element of confidence so that I'm sure that it's going to get more follow through, right? So I'm not just chasing. So that's your little like fork in the road decision. So, okay, next time I see a move going in my setup's direction, I don't have to chase it. I need to wait for confirmation. Once I have confirmation, okay, now I can be aggressive with my entries. But a trade with a compromised confirmation, it's a confidence killer. And I think that's all you're experiencing at the moment. Hey, green day's a green day. Take it and run. Enjoy, right? Enjoy your Friday. Don't see enough volume on NQ. I don't see an opportunity there, Rebecca. Just not enough volume. It's increasing, but it's not outlier there on the 3 min. So again, a confirmation failure. And like for lack of a better term, Patrick, right? A Friday after a week where the market has been sprinting in both directions, it's maybe not surprising to see it catch its breath. Hey, have yourself a great weekend. If I'm going to be a betting man, and I'm a degenerate. Not really, but if I were a betting man, I would say that there are probably more prop firm evals blown on Fridays than any other day of the week. That would be my guess. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. I want to be funded for Monday. Let's go full port. Asking for trouble. So again, right? Failed confirmation. It's a good candle shape. It's increasing volume, but it's not outlier volume. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. And the move doesn't go. So again, right? Confirmation there is, yeah, it's designed to slow us down for sure, right? It's designed to force us to think harder about situations. But fundamentally, it's I use that volume standard because it helps me avoid obvious mistakes like this. And I use that candle shape standard, right, for the same reason. So I kind of mentioned this in my email yesterday, but every trading rule that I have in place, it's designed to help me avoid a mistake that can threaten my ability to maintain my chill, cool, calm, and collected casual nature. Right? So each mistake creates the opportunity to effectively go on tilt. And by avoiding those obvious mistakes, I can avoid those obvious, like, psychological shortcomings that I clearly have. I can't quite afford Freud to analyze my trading. So I have to be a little bit more proactive versus hoping that I can find like the instant solution once I'm already in a stressed out situation. So yeah, rules suck, but they suck less than losing money sucks. How's everyone feeling with this week? Everyone feeling good? Everyone feeling sharp? Everyone green? Love that, Vinny. Good man, AJ. Love that, Patrick. Good. Hey, to be green in this week's market, not easy. So well done. Let's go, Greg. Nice work, Sammy. Apologies, man. Apologies. My last name, I don't think anyone has ever said it correctly. So I understand the struggle. Don't worry. I got a Z and a W in my last name. So here's my conspiracy theory here, Patrick, right? I kind of talked about this a little bit. Let's go, Samuel. Nice work. But like those live streams, right, that are sponsored by the prop firms or the people that are like effectively just shilling the affiliate codes, they have a conflict of interest in their streams, right? Because they make more money when their people fail, right? When the people who are watching fail. And so, yeah, I wonder if anyone's calculating the Top Step TV live P&Ls consistently, because I never see them be green, truth be told. And yeah, you get a ton of people in there, a ton of people blowing it, and they see a few people winning, then they just like flood right to the sign up screen and they all make money. So I'm very skeptical about those services because they're not working for the people who are watching. They're working for the firm that's sponsoring them, and the firm fundamentally makes more money with people buying, right? Just combines. It's less risk. So I don't use Apex at the moment, Misa. I'm trading using Top Step X and their platform. I'm using My Funded Futures, and I'm using Tradeify. So I know I just kind of insulted Top Step TV, but I do think that Top Step is the best prop firm at the moment. Just no. So on Top Step, I use their Top Step X platform, which effectively just combines all my accounts into one. And then I have a separate window where I'm executing through Tradeify and My Funded Futures. I don't use trade copiers, Deb. And the reason why I don't use them is I simply wouldn't trust my personal, like the family fund that I manage with a trade copier. I'm just so scared of having a glitch occur or something doesn't work and it just liquidates everything before I have the chance to stop it. And so the fear of that occurring it's preventing me from wanting to use a copier. Now, if I was just only trading props, no problem. I'd be a little bit more chill with it. But like the family fund that I manage for my dad and my sisters, like that's, my dad's retirement. That's my sister's mortgage. That's my sister's student loans. So the risk of losing that is far too great, where I would rather complicate my execution than deal with a glitch. I would, yeah. It's just too big of a worst case scenario. You can't do it. Yeah, I take all the same trades that I take here. The only difference is that, like my position in my family fund, it's not like I'm just deploying all that cash on every single trade. So I'm effectively running like a long-term portfolio there, with about, we'll say, like 70% of the capital allocated towards those opportunities. So just, keeping a consistent position in the indexes, doing a few little trades here and there, right, with Apple and stuff like that. And so that'll allocate about 70% of my portfolio. And then, yeah, I'll be trading 3 or 4 contracts at a time in my personal fund when I'm trading futures. I appreciate you saying that, Misa. Yeah, this is a doji among dojis, double inside bar day setup here. And look, the reason, like, why I run the program the way that I do, and the reason why I run the stream in the way that I do, and am as transparent with you guys, is because fundamentally I work for you. I don't work for the prop firms. I don't work for TradingView. I don't work for some other company. I make money when you guys do well and when you recommend the services to your friends and your family. And ultimately, DTR grows when its members are successful. And that means that our interests are always aligned and we're always on the same page. And so that for me makes it a little bit easier to sleep at night, because I don't feel like I'm fucking over anybody, for lack of a better term. And that I'm always here to help each individual. And so from my perspective, I think that's a much better way to run this business. It's more work. Yeah, kind of the general theme here. Hey, Patrick, we'd love that, man. Keep grinding. You'll get there. Hey, enjoy the Masters, Rusty. Um, so maybe there's like a yeah, I wonder if they're just saying it's market open once it's back up above that 5% limit. Yeah, I mean, look, the journal is key. That's where your data is, right? If I'm not taking my journaling seriously, I'm just going to elongate my learning curve because I'm not going to notice the patterns that cost me money as quickly. What a rejection. Yeah, I wonder if that was headline driven, like on a John Williams comment, maybe. The only thing that happened at 11. Oh, probably a lot of people. There's that Friday crush we talked about, right? What a bit of FU price action. Yeah, it's kind of it's gotten stuck at those highs a couple times now. But again, I don't think I've missed anything on this CL trade. Maybe I could have gotten a 45, 46. Nah. Like the mental capital of it being up 40 cents, pulling back down to being down 30 cents to being back up 40 cents. That sounds miserable. Hey, love that, Kyle. Enjoy. Go crush it. So, any questions, your team? Anything you guys want to go over? Yeah. So, for me, right, this failed move is a setup trigger. So, it's only a setup trigger. I would still need confirmation that the other side is back in control. So, if this had closed as a red candle with that type of volume, right, yes, that would be a good opportunity to look for a short. But right now, all this is a setup. So now I would need an increasing outlier volume confirmation candle away from this candle's low. So it's a setup, but it's lacking confirmation. Yeah, correct. And when I say no volume, I'm saying it's either not increasing or not outlier or both. So I could see an increasing volume standard. That'll be not outlier volume. And I'll say that there's no volume. Does that make sense? Fantastic. Well, go catch something big. Enjoy. DTR guests, how'd your guys' week go? Everyone successful? Everyone feeling good? Everyone green? I love that, Samuel. What's the max payout going to be? What's that number? Yeah, I think it was yeah, literally just some Fed comment from Johnny Williams. My man. Nice. Okay. Well, that's great money. And that's what it's 27.50 right every 8 trading days per account. So, you know, you could be in good shape. And CL back to 60. Nice. Yeah, I find the reason I like Top Step more than I like Apex. I think their trailing drawdown rule is better, or their drawdown rule in general is better than what you get on Apex. And I have just found personally that getting paid with Top Step is easier than it is with Apex. And easier is a couple things, right? Easier is how often you can request it, right? There's no like windows or like special shit you have to do. And then just like of how quickly it goes from being accepted to into my account. Apex, it's generally taken longer than Top Step by 5 or 6 days. Whereas with Top Step, from submission to approval to in my bank account, it's like 24 hours. Whereas with Apex, it's submit, review, clear, in bank account, and there's just so many more extra steps. It kind of sucks. Yeah, I'm on the like Tradeify sim to funded or sim funded account. And honestly, that one was probably a mistake to do because the caps are so small. Like my funded futures also rapid with when they do their releases. The same thing as Top Step, usually within 24 hours. That's the thing though, right? Like there's so many prop firms these days. There's it's a very saturated market now. So I do imagine that we'll probably start to see more competitive pricing and like features to speed up payouts and do those sort of things because those will be unique selling points for companies to gain an edge. I don't think I'd want to be a prop firm owner right now. No, not at all. It's not that Fridays are historically hit or miss like today, right? Really strong trading day here on a Friday, made really, really good money. But when you've had like a chaotic week like we've had here in the market, this has been an insane week, right? Of just insane amounts of ranges that eventually the market's just like tired, right? It's ready for the weekend. Like if I'd be thinking about like market participants or like how I would have felt working at a fund, this would have been a week where I probably would have been working 12 to 14-hour days. And then, by Friday, by the time it's 11 a.m., you're just tired, right? And so the market kind of mimics that, I would say, to a certain extent. It's just like looking forward to the weekend, right? So like the move that we're getting here today, it's more relative to the price action we've seen in the last week, more than just like a Friday thing. Yeah, and Patrick, ultimately, I think that's what everyone's goal should be with prop firms is use it to create that proof of concept to have your own personal account, right? Getting your first 100K, 150K, 300K from props. It's enough, right? That you can then turn that into a couple $1,000,000 trading your own personal. All right, team. Any other questions here? Anything else you guys want to go over? My voice is starting to run out of juice here. Sounds good, Sammy. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Hey, no worries, Aj. Hope you had a great week. No worries. Sounds good, man. Jeet. Enjoy your weekend, man. All right, team. Well, same deal like always, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, enjoy your weekends. Yeah, Steven. So, effectively, right? Today, we knew that it was potentially going to be a day of consolidation because all of our leading names were giving us inside bar setups. So pretty much every big ticker in the index was telling us that it's consolidation. So base expectation is that's how the indexes were going to behave until we saw a consistent story there from our leading names. We never really got that breakout across the board from everywhere, which is why it's been easy to sit on hands and kind of anticipate this doji. Nice work, Rebecca. Congratulations. Enjoy, Anthony, and have yourself a great weekend. Hopefully, it warms up for you. Does that make sense, Stephen? Fantastic. So yeah, like I said, guys, right? Same deal like always. If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. I'll do my best to get back to you as fast as I can. Otherwise, enjoy Masters weekend, one of the best weekends of the year. And yeah, guys, we'll be back at it again on Monday. Stacking them up, continuing to build, continuing to get better. And we'll keep just improving, right? Keep making a few dollars here and there and just focusing on the variables we can't control. So really, really well done here this week. 4 days where we placed a trade, 4 green days, no trades yesterday. So fantastic, right? We managed this volatility and this fear really well this week. And we should be very proud of the progress that we have made. So have yourselves a great weekend, everyone, and we'll talk soon. Peace.